We are going to explain the computer control heat exchanger training system. In this case, the equipment is formed by the service unit and 3 different exchangers. Plate exchanger, concentric tube exchanger, and shell and tube exchanger. In the 3 cases, the performance steps are the same. Once we have filled up the tank and connect the refrigeration circuit to the tap, we connect the changer we want to work with. And open the proper valves depending on which way we are going to work, in parallel or in counter current. In parallel, or counter current. Esto es importante. With this valve, we will regulate the flow of the refrigeration flow. This is a pressure regulator and should not be touched by the client. We regulate the pressure to protect some components of the heat exchangers. Last, before starting the software, we connect in the first screen, we select the exchanger we're going to work with, in this case. And in the main screen, we can calibrate the sensors we have, view the data of an existing file, or start the program. When we start, we can see the values of the sensors. You can see the constants we're working with, and we can see some calculations we make, such as heat transfer, effectiveness, Reynolds number. We can also change if we are working on parallel or in counter current. And we can also make a PID on the temperature in the tank and regulate the flow of the warm circuit.
To start working with the PLC PI, the first thing to do is to check the packing list. Okay, so there are 4 things to check: manual, unit, data acquisition cable, and software. Now we are going to connect the PLC to the unit. So the first thing to do is to remove the data acquisition cable that goes to the computer. And connect the PC PI cable, just like this. In the back side, we connect it like this. So now we are controlling the unit using the PLC. The PLC PI is shipped with a default program. So if we switch on the unit, we can see the main menu of the default program. In the main menu there are 2 buttons. If we press to the sensor button, we can take the readings of the sensor. It's important to check that the main unit is on. Now we are taking in this default program, we can monitor the sensors. Okay, so In order to know the corresponding of the sensor with the unit, in the manual there is an annex that it says the corresponding between the sensors and the name in the PLC. Okay, so if we go to the we go to the corresponding unit, we can see that sensor number 1 corresponds to the thermocouple number 1, sensor number 2, thermocouple number 2, and depending on the unit that you have, you will have some sensor or not, more or less sensors. Okay, this is for sensors and this is for actuators. If we go back to the main menu, different control. For example, if we go to the actuators menu, if we press on the actuator number 1 button, first we enable the actuator and then we press the actuator number 1 button, we can do a manual control, decreasing or increasing or increasing the flow. We can check the flow in the sensors menu. Now it's around 1.6. And for example, we can carry out a control over the resistance. For example, we can, if we go to actuator number 5, we enable the actuator, we press on the actuator 5 menu, we go to the on-off menu, and we set the sensor feedback. In this case, for example, sensor 13, which is the thermocouple 16, and we set the temperature, for example, $50, and the unit will start controlling the temperature. Okay, if we go to the sensor menu, we can see that the PLC is activating the resistance in order to increase the temperature. Okay, now the resistor, the heater is on, is doing a control in order to increase the temperature. The temperature is increasing, and when the temperature reaches the set value, it will stop. The process can take a few times, but we can see that the temperature is increasing. Finally, I would like to tell you that the unit is provided with 2 USB serial cables. The default cable should be used in normal operation, and this cable, the auxiliary one, should be used for restoring the default parameters when there is an error in the communication or something like that.